Today, I just want to speak to us about what many of you have been asking me to elaborate a little more. In life, we talk about intentional growth. Intentional growth is not a big bang theory, it's not something that just happens magically. It is a process. We manifest it, the actions that we take towards our vision boards and goals that we set before ourselves. Every day, you ought to be striving to be a better version of yourself. Today, you ought to be better than yesterday. Next week, you must deliberately be better than last week. Next month, be better than last month. That is called intentional growth. Now, when we talk about intentional growth, there are 7 types of capital that I like to talk about. Can we delve into it? Sure, why not? Capital number 1, spiritual capital. Daniel 11:32. They that know their God shall be strong, and they shall do exploits. The power to harness greatness on earth, the power to gain advantage on earth is in knowing your God. Spiritual capital is the number one hugest force you can ever have on earth to dominate on earth. That's where all the power lies, in the motto and mantra of God first. That's why you ought never to begin a meeting without a prayer. You ought never to engage in anything without a prayer. It ought to be prayer first. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So, parameter number 1 in growth is about spiritual capital. How does spiritual capital come about? It comes by hearing, and hearing by the word, thereby growing our faith. But this faith must be grown to be able to attain certain things, to produce certain things. Out of us are wombs. We carry wombs of so many great things that are supposed to be birthed on earth. It's very important that you take your spiritual capital, so important. Recognizing the CEO of the universe as the boss that runs this entire world. Your number one, most important, singularly important, is spiritual capital. Capital number 2, intellectual capital. Always make sure that in all your gaining, gain knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. By wisdom, a house is built. By wisdom, a nation is birthed and built. Look at Singapore for a moment. Singapore got its independence just a year or two after Uganda's independence. Uganda 1962, Singapore 1963. And at the time, we're told that the GDPs were almost the same. And in my newly being released book, Next Level Thinking, I talk about the fact that China is what it is as a byproduct of its thought process. The United States of America is its thought process. Your household is as a result of your thought process. Sometimes even your bank balance is as a result of your thought process. Why do I say that? Because as a man thinketh, so he is, or so is he. Africa does not need to think. Africa must rethink, because there's quite a lot that has gone wrong. Most African countries are a byproduct of what they think, but what we think results from our intellectual capital. In the year 1972, many of you globally knew about the President Idi Amin the late, a Ugandan president who was famous for killing people by cutting off their heads. And when that always happened, they didn't say someone has been killed. They would say he has been decapitated, meaning the capital has been taken off. And I always tell entrepreneurs and business leaders globally, fill your head with as much knowledge as possible. First, let's talk information. We're in the fourth, moving to the fifth industrial revolution. Next level thinking is what is before us right now. Gain as much information. I always tell people, if reading is not your habit, adopt it like a child in the wilderness. Learn to read. Listen to podcasts. Grow your mind. Gain knowledge, gain wisdom. Relate with people across the world, in the continent, in your country, that add value to your thought process. Intellectual capital will lift you from here to here. Wisdom builds cities. Wisdom builds nations. Wisdom builds brands. Wisdom builds institutions. Wisdom builds individuals. Dr. Cindy Trim says, some men are born as individuals, but they die as institutions. Your intellectual capital is key. Number 3, we talk about social capital. We all always hear the adage that your networks are your net worth. How true is that though? Over the years as a leader, I've realized that that's not entirely true actually. Your social networks only can translate into your net worth when you have value to add to the conversation, value to add to the ecosystem. You can't simply know me and we have no value exchange and you talk about improving your net worth. Think about it for a moment. If you're Bill Gates' friend right now, Elon Musk's friend right now, what value do you add to him? So that network only becomes beneficial in line with your bank balance or net worth if you're bringing value to the table.